Welcome to another edition of Journeys of Hope. Tonight we're going to be joined by Terrell Whitener. Terrell became a widower when his wife, Robin Street, died and left him alone. But he has learned a lot in this journey, and he's going to talk about the art of discovery, learning to live after loss, and what does it mean to truly live after loss.
Glenn, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity again. And again, I am so excited to be able to be with you this evening and talk about the workshop and the time that we'll share during our cruise next April. Over these next few minutes, I want to outline a little bit about the art of discovery, learning to live after loss. As Glenn said, my life changed on February 28th of the year 2015 when my wife, Robin, died after complications of congestive heart failure and some other ailments that she had during that time. And what I learned over these last 4.5 years has to be completely what I call the art of discovery, learning to live after loss. So what we will do, I want to outline pretty much 3 specific areas that I'll be sharing with you about this discovery. The first thing that I must say, though, first of all, is that as we all know, that recovering, grief is not a one-size-fits-all thing. All of our experiences are unique. Simply what I will be giving you is not an how-to workshop, but a workshop in which we will introduce some tools, learning to live after loss. It is so important that we give ourselves permission to live even after losing someone that we love. Through that process there's an art to discovery. It's like painting a brand new canvas in your life. That picture will never be the same again, but it still remains a picture in our life. One of those really difficult lessons for us to learn is almost all of us has simply asked why. It may be a question that we will ask over and over again, and we'll come up with our own answers that we can learn to live with. But the one thing about it is that we will never have a concrete reason why. We will have a cause why, we will have a date when, but we will never have a concrete answer why. But the truth of the matter of it is that our loved one has moved on and we're still here. So during the time that we'll be on the ship, we'll talk a little bit in that workshop about the art of discovery. I kind of break this down into 3 specific areas. But before I start, one of the things that I want all of you to know very simply is this, and one of the things that I'm most excited about is this will be a workshop that I will be presenting for the first time anywhere on the cruise. You will be able, the information I will be sharing with you will be the first time that I share it with any audience anywhere. And the reason why I chose and have chosen to do that is I am so greatly honored to be a part of such a distinguished group of people who will be presenting. I really felt that it was very important for me to deliver something special, deliver something unique, delivering something that we can go out there and spread that information together after we spend that marvelous week together, and to be strengthened and be encouraged. That's really what it's all about. So I'm going to talk about 3 specific areas. The first area that we'll be covering through the workshop is the fact that something very difficult happened to all of us. Something very painful happened to us all. One of the most difficult things for me to learn, and thank goodness that I'm still in the learning phase and will be in that learning phase until the day that I take my last breath. But I am determined to learn to love myself in the same way that my wife loved me. I call it galvanizing the legacy of our love. Galvanizing the legacy of our love. If we can aspire to love ourselves in the way that our loved one loved us, we will not only be doing a positive thing, a necessary thing, but we will be doing an empowering and noble thing. And so finding that way and that legacy of love will be something that I will be talking about and be encouraging you to do in the first part of our workshop. The second part of the workshop that I do is I am a firm believer that you have to give your life some measure of structure. I call them my 10 tenets of grief. In my book, The First 365, I come up with what I call 10 tenets or 10 rules or guidelines in which I conduct my life. Within this workshop, I will be presenting probably about 2 to 3 of those tenets. And let me just share one of them with you. And I will start out with number 1, because I want to make sure that I leave something for the cruise and also leave a reason for you to buy a book. I'm still an entrepreneur, so I can't give everything away. But my first rule is this: I reserve the right to be a complete and total mess whenever I need to be. If it's a day that I just sigh, let my sighs come. If it's a day that I hear a song or think of a memory and my eyes might well up and the tears will flow, that does not mean that I have taken a step back in the beginning and have to start all over. That just means that that love still flows, that unbreakable bond that no stop of a heartbeat and no separation physically could ever take away. I reserve the right to be a complete and total mess whenever I need to be. Now, let me say this. I need to make sure that I find the appropriate place to do that. You know, in the board meeting at work is not the time to break down and start sobbing uncontrollably. But if you have to go back into your office afterwards and let it go, it be an appropriate place. As we all know, very simply, the rule is that there is no rule. Genuine love, genuine affection, genuine healing, and genuine grief has very few rules, but we do try to conduct ourselves with some decorum and some strength, even when we are at our weakest point. So I reserve the right to be a complete and total mess whenever I need to be. But the thing I'm most excited about when I'm talking about the 10 tenets of grief is during this workshop, I want us to spend some time together developing your own tenet or your own rule. And we'll work together to be able to give you what I simply call one of those personal debriefs where we can take a look and see what works, what strengthens you, what helps you cope, what rule or tenet or guideline or structure can you give to your life that you are willing to write down, commit yourself to, and be able to say, you know what, that works for me. And we'll do that work, whether that be in a form of just very simply sharing it with people at your table, keeping it to yourself, or sharing it with the group. It will be up to you. I will not force anybody to share something that might be as strongly personal as that if they choose not to be. But if we create the environment that I think that we will create in there, we will know that there's love in the room and acceptance in the room and a lack of judgment in that room, and it will give us a safe space in order to share if we feel inclined to do so. The third thing that I talk about and believe very strongly in is that our grief goes through what I call seasons. And the one thing that about grief, that about loss, that is very unique, it is very different than our normal calendar, our normal way of going in life. Most of the time in life, we think about spring, birth, summer, growth, winter, maintenance. And many times in that winter time, things start to digress a little bit, die a little bit, start to be a little bit in certain parts of the country and the world, a little bit more barren and a little bit more gray. And to be very honestly, even sometimes things die. But the one thing we know about loss is it flips our world completely upside down. It starts in the winter of our grief. And it moves on to spring, where we start to stick our head out from under the covers and under the ground again and say that there's still a world out there that we have to navigate in and that we have to operate in. There are people out there that we need to try to be strong for. There are things out there that we need to continue to engage in. That is the spring of our life. In the summertime is a time that I call it is come on in, the water is fine. It's that time of exploration where we might want to try new habits, new groups, new spring, new activity. We almost are as that young calf that are taking those first steps in many ways, and we get back out there and to see what our new normal could be. And the fourth and final season that I talk about in many ways is fall maintenance. What is our new normal? How will we have to operate in life? As a single man, how will I conduct myself? As a single parent, how will I conduct myself? As trying to fill the great shoes that if your spouse was the matriarch or the patriarch of the family, can you fill that role, or do you have to delegate that role to many other people, or do you even really want that role at all? There are so many adjustments that we have to make, and we will talk about all of those things and many more in the workshop. Again, let me leave you with this. My goal in being a part of this magnificent cruise is to be there for you. During the time that I have the privilege of being in front of you teaching, I hope it's just a small part of our interaction. You know, I hope that we can have some breakfasts or lunches or dinners together, that we can just sit and talk and pass by and just even smile at each other. I want to meet each and every person that's on the cruise. I want to walk away with a new family and a new friends and a new support group, and to be able to be a support to others. It is so important that you also understand that while I've had the privilege of writing a book, it makes me not by no means a quote unquote expert. I don't have all the questions. I haven't even got I don't have all the answers. I believe that I still don't even I haven't received all the questions yet. And that is one of the great things about the art of discovery, learning to live after loss. Every day there's a new challenge. Every day there's a new opportunity. Every day there's a new way of living, loving, and honoring Robin's memory. And that is part of what I hope to do with you. And I'll simply leave you with this, because I really want you to, when you are looking forward to being with me and looking forward to being all the other wonderful people on this cruise, we do have to understand that we are still here. There's life after loss. And we again owe it to the loving memory, the loving legacy, and the loving person that had to leave us all too soon. There's not one of us, if we could do it again, would not take their place if we chose to be. But that is not the choice that was made. That was not the assignment that we were given. The assignment that we were given is to make sure that their life meant something and it was full of joy, and that Robin lived for a reason, and she lives through me. How I conduct myself and the excellence in which I try to help others does nothing but honor her. So come and do me the honor of joining me on the cruise, and with all the other wonderful staff and wonderful presenters that'll be there. You already will be a winner as soon as you walk on that boat, because you've made it an investment in yourself. You have already told us that you want something different and something better. And I know that if you take that step, you will be honored and we will deliver. So with that, I want to give it back to Glenn, and I look forward to seeing you all in April. And trust me, if you get ready, I'll be ready, and we will both deliver together.
Well, thank you so very much, Terrell. You and I've talked before, but to me, one of the things that you have said that, you've said it to me more than once, and each time you say it, it resonates with me, because I really think it is just such a simple aspect of one of the really keys to finding that hope and that joy and living again. And that is to learn to love ourselves the way our loved one loved us. That is so powerful, so very powerful. And I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yes, it's a high bar, but there is no greatness achieved without there being a great goal to reach toward. And that is it, because I tell you, Glenn, it's very simple for me. I always say that the one thing that, especially as a male who lost their spouse, you know, the one thing that no one will ever be able to take away from me is that I finished what I started. And the thing that gives me comfort some days is the fact that my wife has gone out ahead of me, and that I hope that I will see her again. And when I see her again, I want there to be the gleam of pride in her eyes and not the concern that I didn't spend the time without her well.
Well, I think you're spending it quite well. If somebody wants to find you and kind of connect with you, how would be the best way to do that?
I am so excited that you asked that question, and thank you very much. Recently, I relaunched my website, and it is the perfect place to be able to contact and connect with me in all different genres. It has all my social media information. It has my personal email there. It has the store there with the book on that. It'll be something that I'll be updating with events and appearances that I'll be making and projects that I'll be working on throughout the country. And this is where you can reach me at. It is at www.thedebriefgroup365.com. www.thedebrief group 365.com. That is the best place. It has everything that you, and probably more than you'll want to know about me, you know, on that site, including my bio, including how to contact me if there is ever maybe a book study or a group that you might want me to dial in and talk to, and, you know, or just talk to the group. If you want to shoot me an email and get some encouragement, it is all there. You can sign up for, and this, since I talked to you last, Glenn, I've solidified and signed a deal to start the podcast, you know, hired the production staff and all of that to make that happen. And that'll be a place that my podcast will be, as well as everything else. So that, go to that, the DB Group 365.com, and you can find out all things Terrell Whitener. This is a great but difficult season that we're getting ready to go into. It's the holiday season. And if you know someone, including yourself, that might need just a little encouragement, a little structure, or a little understanding, you know, consider using the wonderful tools of the staff that'll be teaching you, and consider gifting somebody and buy a copy yourself of the first 365. Again, you know, it is not a book of how-tos. It is a book of tools. And I think it could be a wonderful gift and a wonderful gesture to just let somebody know that you care.
So the first 365 can be found at your website. Is it also available on Amazon?
It's on, yes, it's on Amazon and through Arthur House Books that published it.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to being on the cruise with you in April, and we'll see everybody there.
Very good. Thank you, Glenn. Take care.